just a few weeks before we started dating, I was talking to my mom on the phone. So I was at this church camp for like 3 months. There are no cell phones or anything. So we could get in line to call home on the weekends on this telephone that we would bring the wired telephone into the pantry in the kitchen at the camp. And I'm telling my mom, because my brother was getting ready to come to high school camp. I said, whatever you do, don't let him be in this guy's cabin because he's really immature. Like, this is the guy that I ended up marrying. Like, he's just goofing off all the time. He doesn't really care about God and spirituality. It's like that. It said, don't let Josh be in his cabin. And then next thing you know, we're together. So that was kind of the story of our lives, is that he was immature and I was mature. And once that original lust wore off, I was like, oh, great. So what have we got here? But I did love him. I loved him all the way up to the end, but I tried so hard. Like, it was a lot of work sometimes. We had 3 daughters in 2000, 2002, and 2006. In 2011, he had a massive heart attack at the age of 34 and almost died. 5 weeks later, we go on a trip to Cambodia for 5 weeks with our girls. Come back and he has 3 years of panic attacks and anxiety. He loses his job, we lose our house, all of this. Move into low-income housing, an apartment in Ohio with Somali refugees who became our friends. And then a year later, we moved to Cambodia. All of these things, looking back now, what in the hell? Like, he is mentally ill and struggling with PTSD and all of this. And we're like, let's go be missionaries in a foreign country. So we were there a little over a year before he started cheating on me. I did not know this. I did not know that he met a woman at a massage parlor in 2016. And to the best of my knowledge, started having sex with her the following year, like a few months later. But we were in Cambodia till 2020. And then he left in September 2020. I found out in January 2021 that for 80% of the time that we lived in Cambodia, he was cheating on me and I didn't know it. So I'm finally, like, he is finally feeling well enough to leave the house, to go out on his own, to take moto trips. His photography, that was such a passion for him, he had lost that passion during that time of his anxiety. He got it back. So I am cheering on my husband that he can go out for hours and hours and days at a time, photographing in the mountains and all of this, not realizing that he's going out to meet his lover. So he's using this, like, my excitement that he's out of bed to repay the 3 years that I took care of him 24/7. And one of the reasons I don't want to date, I'll jump to that really quick, is I started thinking 3 years of panic attacks and anxiety where I am caretaking for him while I have 3 young daughters, literally 24/7. He would wake up in the middle of the night anxious. I would scratch his back, play with his hair, whatever, for an hour or two until he went back to sleep. He's asleep. I have to get up in the morning to take care of the children. He can sleep as long as he wants. My 3 daughters, who I breastfed them for a year each, and they were up in the middle of the night for pretty much a year. I'm like, wow, all 3 of them together were not as much caretaking in the middle of the night as newborns as my husband was for 3 years plus during that time of anxiety. And again, I did that because what? In sickness and in health, right? You do that for your husband. What I did not expect is that he would turn right around then and just go right from that into cheating on me and then leaving, abandoning his kids. So when he left in September 2020, I was making about $200 a week, I want to say. So I had to scramble there. I started a Patreon. My friends rallied around me. My parents helped me. My brother-in-law and sister helped me, and got back on my feet, got writing jobs, editing jobs, and published my first book in a while. And it turned out to be poetry. In 2021, my book, Unbelieve, Poems on the Journey to Becoming a Heretic, I released a year after he left. I've since released a whole bunch more books that we can talk about later. But yeah, so that the whole divorce thing, again, I have poems where I'm talking about people telling me, you're going to be so free on the other side of this. Like, you're going to be so much better on the other side of this. Same as with evangelical Christianity. But what I really, really, really need people to know is how much hell I went through to get to that other side. So I'm more free and happier as a single woman than I was married to a man who was unkind and used me and all of that. But for months and months and months there, the tears, the insomnia, the anxiety, the sadness, the grief, the betrayal, even now, like just this past week, I got an email from him out of the blue about something, and like my heart stopped. I'm like, dang, am I not over this guy yet? Like, can I not just get him out of my mind and out of my life? So, in a nutshell, it was so hard. And also, as a 49-year-old single woman who's been single now for almost 5 years and had no idea, like you said, that this would ever, ever, ever happen, every single day, not every single day, I don't actually think about him every single day, but many days, I just can't believe my luck. Like, I can't believe that I am free from a marriage I never dreamed I could be free from. I even as I left Christianity, maybe at some point I would have said, "Oh, hey, I don't even care about the Bible anymore. Why am I still married to this guy?" That might have happened, but he got to it first. Like, he did it first. He took the fall. He got to be the bad guy, and I didn't have to, go through all that. So that's where I am now. I am genuinely happy and free and on my way to wholeness, but I will never tell anyone that it was not complete hell getting from where I was to where I am now.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm thinking about a story you told of, was it a friend of yours, a guy friend who messaged you and basically was like talking about your ex. He had gold and like didn't know it, or, like basically you were gold and he just let you go kind of thing. But it's like he was, I don't even know what buddy was. Like, you're gold and he was fool's gold. He was like,
Um,
you know,
I can't usually find my poems, but this book is called Poem Art Therapy: Cathartic Word Crafting After Infidelity and Divorce. And it's poems all about divorce and cheating that you can cut up and make poem art out of. And I have that guy's words in here. I didn't name them, but there's actually two of them on this page. And both of them are men who were friends with my ex and a little bit friends with me, but they started out as his friends. But I got both of them in the divorce somehow because they both reached out to me. So this first poem, and I say the word poem loosely because it's literally just their words. Affirmation from a good guy. I hope past memories remind you of how blessed he was to have you and how dope of a wife you were. And I just put H because that's the initial of his first name. And then affirmation from good guy number 2. This is the one you're talking about. I know you'll take this in the spirit it's meant, so I won't bother with qualifiers and explainers about how much I love my wife very much, etc. Redacted, so he put his name, but I don't put his name in anything anymore. Is a fucking chump, all caps. Dude had gold and didn't see it. Whatever, rant over. Jay. And I put a little note, totally self indulgent, but these words from two guys my ex really admired make me really happy.
yeah. Yeah. And it's just obviously this, what I'm about to say is comparing, like it's so not even a comparison. But as I've been trying to date and I have run into situations where like I got stood up a few weeks ago for a date, for example.
Mm,
And so this other guy I've been seeing, his reminder to me whenever guys like pull away or are intimidated or all these things or just chumps, he's like, it's not a reflection of you. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with how they show up in the world and their insecurities and all that. Right. And so it's
yeah.
like you were the person that you are. And then he, for whatever reason, could not meet you where you were and showed himself to be a chump. So yeah. And it sucks. It sucks that you gave so much time, energy, sacrifice to someone who didn't appreciate it. And so I want to acknowledge that part of the journey for you. And yeah, it's just
Thank you.
yeah. Well, Marla, like you've obviously I love how you were saying like basically you just feel so free
Yeah.
and you're living this life where you get to be with your books and your kiddos and you get to write and all the things. And I will say, like, I know that there's probably, especially at the beginning, some of that nature of here's this person who was in your life every day, you talk to every day for however many years y'all were together, and then they're just gone and you never talk to them again, and just how wild that is. So, but like you said, like getting through all of that to the place you are now, to where you don't think about them every day and you're living this, you know, with the acknowledgement of the world is like everything happening, but your personal life and the things you're getting to do. So, what is it like to be single in your 40s in this life? That, yeah, what are some things that you get to do that you wouldn't be doing if you were still in the same boat?
Well, one of the things is that he he had a temper and he had a lot of opinions, and some of them I did not agree with at all. So there was a lot of tension and anxiety now I'm seeing for me whenever we were in some kind of social situation where I'm like, what if he gets his feathers ruffled? What if he says something that is offensive to someone else? It had happened many, many times. Like this,
Yeah.
I was always walking on eggshells, always worried, will we fit into this thing? What is he going to say? What is he going to do with my family, with different, like other couples at church, whatever? There was always that fear that I had. And so when he would do something or say something or be kind or whatever, I was so excited and happy. I'm realizing now that when he was a decent human being, I thought this was like, oh my gosh, he's so amazing. And then because he wasn't being the terrible person or whatever. So not having to ever worry where he is, what he's doing, what he's saying, how that's going to reflect on me. I'm realizing now how codependent I was. I read the book Codependency No More, where I was always trying to clean up his messes, always trying to smooth over things that he had said or done or didn't do, like failed to do. I would give excuses for him, like when he wouldn't do the things that he said he would do, and I would tell people, oh, he meant to, but this happened. Like always, I was more a mother to him than a wife. And one side note that I am trying to work through. So since I wrote these 4 pages of notes, I might write like 5 pages of notes about this exact topic. Is I have heard a lot of women who I respect say, even if their husband's cheated, like Maggie Smith is a woman whose writing I absolutely love. She wrote a book called You Could Make This Place Beautiful, and it's about her divorce. Jen Hatmaker, her husband cheated on her around the same time. Well, she found out about it around the same time that I did. So she's got a new book coming out, Awake, and it starts with her, a story she's never told until now, waking up in the middle of the night and her husband is whispering in the phone to another woman. So these people are telling these stories, but I've heard both of them and many other women say that they want to own their part too. That is a struggle for me because I am the first one to tell anyone that I am not perfect. But it's very hard for me to quote unquote own something or say this is what I contributed to this, or this was, it takes two to divorce, which is something my ex mother-in-law said to my kids. Like it takes two, and I'm like, it takes two what? Like the woman who takes care of her husband 24/7 and does everything for him and bends over backwards, and then he cheats. Like I don't understand. So any admission of my imperfection is hard for me when it seems to point to a justification for why he did what he did or acted the way he did. Anyway, okay, so back, let me, that was a side, back to where I was. Do you remember where I was? What was
You
I?
were talking about how in the past you would have to take on
Oh,
all
yeah, yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
stuff
Got
for
it. Got it.
him,
Thank
about
you.
him, his
Thank you.
behaviors.
Yes. So that freedom of being able to be at a meal with other people or anywhere in any situation and I don't have to worry about him is like this weight lifted off. And I even like it will hit me sometimes. So I think you and I, when we were together at that, we went to a restaurant. You're up at the counter, totally flirting with this guy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she already like. There's one guy in this whole place, and she's just zoop, right there, where I'm not even thinking about this, and I'm like, Marla, you are not actually married. Like you are free if you want, anytime, anywhere. You could do this, so it's almost like I like the idea of being able to do it if I wanted, but I don't necessarily care to do it.
Yeah.
And maybe that will change. But you talked about having this person that I could talk to and then not having him. But what I will say is that for all of those years that he was cheating, he was many times pulling back emotionally. Like I would try to get him to open up, he would not. I would initiate sex. I would do all of these things. And he just would pull back, pull back, pull back. And then when we moved back to the States in March of 2020 and he left in September, from March to September, he was cold as ice. I always have said the divorce was so unexpected. I had no idea it was coming. And then I looked back in my journal in those months, and there are at least two times where I wrote, "Are we getting divorced?" I could not understand what this he was pushing me away so much. And I could evaluate that and analyze all that. I do think he was trying to make it easier on himself, or he's trying to write these narratives about me. So his mom has said, well, Marla didn't love him for a long, long time. That was what he had been telling her the whole time that he was cheating. So that when he did leave, he could say, see, I told you this whole time that Marla didn't love me. Meanwhile, I was trying my best to love him. And anytime I did feel any warmth toward him, like I said, when he would do something just remotely kind, I just gave him all the flowers and all the praise. And I'm like, it's going to be okay. He does love me, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, he was so cold that it's not like I had this best friend and then he was gone. I was much, much, much closer to other people, to my friends and to my own kids, who I mentioned are young adults.